All right. We can talk back here. I'll even move. I can see the very back of that very nice chair. You don't want to be on the yeah.
Okay, we have 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the Coast County Board meeting for July 13th to order. Roll call, please.
East.
Here.
Mason. Here. Metzger.
Here.
Purdy. Here. Shook.
Here.
Watts. Bennett.
Here.
Corey. Here. Cox. Doty.
Here.
Dowdy. Bell.
Here. The invocation, stand please.
Lord, help us to rekindle the bonds of love and loyalty and country that link us together as citizens, neighbors, and patriots. This is our future, our fate, and our choice to make. No matter the challenges to come, we must go forward together. We must keep America first in our hearts. We must keep freedom alive in our souls, and we must always keep faith in America's destiny. That one nation under God must be the hope and the promise to all the nations of the world. God bless us. God bless America. In Jesus' name we pray.
Moment of silent reflection, please. Okay, thank you. And if we rise for the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need a motion for the approval of the minutes for the June 8th meeting. Jeremy East and Rick Shook. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes. And we'll start off with the committee reports. Building and Grounds Committee, Nancy Purdy.
No meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. County Offices and Rules Committee, Stan Metzger.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. County Office and Rules Committee was called to order June 28th, 2021 at 4:40 p.m. with the following members present: Jeremy East, John Doty, Jeremy Dowdy, Stan Metzger, Chair presiding, Chairman Brandon Bell was also there ex officio. Denise Corey was unable to attend. Also attending were board members Michael Watts, George Edwards, Treasurer, James Donasso, Lisa McMichael's Administrative Assistant. There was no tax cycle update, there was no old business. In new business, the holiday calendar for 2022 was presented to the members. It is attached. After discussing this matter, a motion was made by Dowdy to forward this item to the county board, and it was seconded by East, carried unanimously. At this time, I so move.
So, motion by Metzger, second by East. Discussion? Roll call, please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey, Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
There was no miscellaneous business in public comment. James also spoke. The meeting adjourned at 5:08 p.m. on a motion by Dowdy and a second by East.
Thanks, Under Education, Nancy Purdy.
The Education Committee met on June 7th at 6:30, but there won't be any official minutes until September. But I did want to mention some items that did come out of the meeting that I found interesting. And this was some legislation that has been, which if most of it gotten to the newspapers, you've probably read about it or seen it, heard about it. And one is, if you want to know the House bill or the Senate bill, I can give that to you. It amends the Illinois School Code that schools from 4th to 12th grade will provide free menstrual hygiene products in bathrooms. And this, the wording had been in the final, was changed to this, from feminine products to menstrual products. And it will also be in all bathrooms, boys and girls bathrooms. And that has passed. Another one that passed was Coles County's representative, Chris Miller, was one of the sponsors of a bill that also passed that allows retired teachers to return to the classroom due to the teacher shortage in Illinois without losing their retirement status. Previously, if a teacher taught, subbed more than 120 days of a school year or more than 600 hours of a school year, they would lose their retirement status. And so this allows them to teach a full school year. Another one, House bill was, it amends the School Code and Juvenile Court Act about chronic truancy. This has been an issue in schools, and it's even worse now with the COVID, the remote learning, and but schools can no longer fine parents or have the state suspend the student's driver's license for truancy. So they did take that away from the schools as an incentive to try to get students to come. Another bill amends the compulsory attendance article of the school code. Students now can take up to 5 days excused absences, not requiring a doctor's signature, for mental health or behavioral health reasons. And they don't have to prove that. Another one was the Right to Play bill, which you probably saw. It extends each school from kindergarten through 5th grade must provide 30 minutes a day of recess, and recess can no longer be withheld for discipline unless the playtime poses an immediate threat to safety. So those were some of the legislative items that came out of the education meeting, the update that they gave us. Also, just which I think if you've read the paper, you've probably heard about this, the Regional Innovation Center that's in Mattoon in the former Consolidated Communications Building. They're really looking forward to this because schools from all around, not just Coles County, can send students to this for construction and trades, child care, culinary arts, leadership, among some others that they might be planning to have. They did hire a new regional special ed person to mentor new special ed teachers, and they will hire a 4th truancy person for the region. They're going to try to, for truancy, in order to combat truancy, send people to the homes, try to find out what's keeping students from coming to school, see how they can help out. And they're looking for an attendance specialist as well. As I said, I don't have official minutes though on that.
All right, thank you for that information. Emergency Food and Shelter Board, Jeremy Dowdy. There's no meeting. Emergency Telephone System, 911 Board, Rick Shook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On May 6, 2021, the Emergency Telephone System Board meeting was called to order at 3 p.m. with members present: Bennett, Eanes, Gaines, Higgins, Martin, McReynolds, Rankin, Shook, Wright. Others present was Director James Covert, Assistant Director Amber Wilson, Mark Harris, and Jeff Gilligan. Number 2, approval of minutes, Director Award, and TC Award of the Year. TC of the Year award was voted on by the agencies and co-workers, was awarded to Denise Bozier. Director Award was awarded to Dave Gozier and Ethan Hawkins. Approve the minutes. Motion was made by Rankin and second by Eames to approve the minutes. Budget report number 3, current budget report and percentage sheets were reviewed and discussed. Number 4, committee report, supply and claims reviewed, bills signed and submitted. Bills were paid. Director report number 5, see attached. Number 6A, old business. It was approved to move forward with the purchase of Tyler Technology Public Safety Site. Gaines made a motion to consider to pay for the purchase of Tyler Technology Public Safety Site not to exceed $1.1 million. The motion was seconded by Rankin. The yeses were Eads, Gaines, Higgins, Martin, McReynolds, Rankin, Wright. The noes was Shook. That's just way too much money, Mr. Chairman, for something like that. I know we need it and all that, but come on, they could come down with something like that. That's way, way, way too much money. C, discussion was held in reference to the Volunteer Rural Fire Agency for paying emergency fees into our system and a fair way to charge them. It was presented to the ETSB to change them on a sliding scale based on the total number of calls and the CAT tickets that they respond to. For example, 1 in 100, they will charge $250 and up 250. 250 and up for the ETSB table the discussion for July. D, it was discussed that the ETSB would formally form a finance committee. McReynolds made a motion that Higgins and Eames would be on the committee along with the 911 director. Martin seconded the motion. Motion carried. 7A, new business. Motion was made by Rankin and seconded by Gaines to approve the purchase of 6 new dispatch chairs for the 911 center. Mr. Chairman, you know they sit in chairs all the time, and they're getting wore down and all that, so the dispatchers at the 911 center are going to be getting some new chairs. B, the Director Covert discussed a new purchase of a new AV/AC system for the 911 center in the director report. Rankin made a motion and Martin seconded the motion to go out for bid for the new air conditioning system for 911 system. I definitely told them, Mr. Chairman, that when we get the new AC unit, the people that will be doing it will be from Coles County. And I will throw a fit if it goes from somewhere else, Mr. Chairman. C, the ETSB meeting will continue to be held the first Thursday of every month in January, March, May, July, September, November at 3 p.m. at the Coles-Moultrie County Boardroom. D, Dan Eads will be the new chairman of the ETSB, and Sam Gaines will be the vice chair. No private session. We had a meeting July 1st, which I will discuss soon. And motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Rick, the 1.1 million, you absolutely are correct, but I read it about it earlier, and I'm still not quite sure what it is. You know, and I know you know because you're in the meetings, but could you just tell me just a little bit about what it's supposed to do for us?
When someone would call the 911 center and they get on the computer and they look to see where this person might be called from, and they get on there to see where they can dispatch the police from and all that. All this new technology, I guess our technology now is like 15 or 18 years old. The 911 center is saying, in a sense that we have to keep up with the Joneses, so we have to get this new technology to keep up with everybody and all that.
Okay,
And I know it's a hell of an answer for $1.1 million.
for technology.
Yeah, technology. I still think it's too much money.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Finance Committee, Stan Mesker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee was called to order June 28, 2021 at 5:08 p.m. with the following members present: Brandon Bell, Darrell Cox, Jeremy East, Mike Watts, Stan Mesker, Chairman presiding. Also attending were George Edwards, Treasurer, Carla Swinford, Treasurer's Office, Steve Simpson, Scott Biggs of the Maintenance Department, Tyler Hadim of the Sheriff's Department, and Lisa Michaels, Administrative Assistant. Treasurer's update: Mr. Edwards reported that the first distribution of property tax money to the taxing bodies will go out on Friday, July the 2nd. There was no old business. In new business, Mr. Simpson, Chief Deputy Hyleen, discussed with the members the positions and the salaries of the Maintenance Department. After much discussion, Mr. Watts made a motion to table this matter, and Mr. East seconded it. Ms. McMichaels was instructed to add this to the finance agenda for the next meeting. That motion carried unanimously. Item 2, resolution regarding COVID rapid relief funding for remote capabilities grant was presented to the members. It's attached. After discussion, a motion was made to forward this to the county board. This motion was made by Cox, seconded by East, carried unanimously, and at this time I so move.
All right, Stan Mesker. Nancy Purdy. Discussion? Roll call, please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey. Yes. Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Item 3, Mr. Edwards and Ms. Swinford discussed with the members the hiring of bellwether consultants regarding the ARPA funds that were received by the county. A motion was made by Cox to forward this to the county board for approval, seconded by Bell. Or a motion was made by Mr. Cox to forward this to the county board for approval. It was seconded by Mr. Bell, carried unanimously, and at this time I so move. First, my memory was this was a $20,000 item or a service we're hiring, and it's going to help us manage and distribute the federal funds that the county has received and will be continuing to receive through the next year.
Sir, so we have a motion by Stan Metzger, second by Rick Shook. Discussion? Yes, go Mason.
How is this working? So they're going to get $20,000 to help us. I know it says consultants, so are they going to come up with a plan and then have a committee that talks about it, that they share information with? Are they just going to do it and say, here it is, we're done, you owe us $20,000? What kind of input is available for board members or community members or stockholders, stakeholders in the group? Sorry,
Bellwether Consultant is representing, I believe, 40 different counties, at least in the state of Illinois, as they handle this ARPA money. There are a magnitude of requirements that need to be met,
Sure.
and things that need to be done correctly so that this money is beneficial to the people of Coles County, rather than not being used at all, or worse yet, used incorrectly, and then the county would be on the hook to repay those funds.
Sure.
So George's office has already spent a lot of hours dealing with this, and as I say, it's quite a complex program that they have to follow. Bellwether is ready to do this, and for the price of $20,000, we couldn't even hire a full-time person to manage this, let alone.
So it's through the treasurer's office?
Correct.
And,
Can I address, Gail, your question?
yes, please.
The things that you mentioned haven't really been put in place yet. We're still steering the ship as far as how our money will be divided and used. The Finance Committee hasn't determined if they're going to establish a committee yet or not. But Bellwether will be our go-to when those decisions are, the county makes decisions on how the money's going to be spent. That will be run past Bellwether just to get their approval. They're going to be directly working with Treasury to get approval to see that the funds that are, whatever we decide we're going to do, whether it's helping food pantries or whether we're helping natural wildlife areas or tourism, or we do something within the county, those things will be submitted, will be decided locally by however the county board chooses to do that, and then that will be submitted to Bellwether, and Bellwether will give a blessing.
Okay.
And then they're going to be, the reporting guidelines are pretty quickly approaching. July 31st ends the first period. So we're going to have to do a report on what we've done through July 31st, and that report has to be done August 31st. So everybody, and the final rule is not even established yet, and will be, I think it's the 16th of July when that final rule comes out.
But the reporting at the end of July might be, here's where we are right now. These are the things we've been talking about and doing, but not necessarily this is how we think the money ought to be distributed, or these are the 3 places.
Right.
Or 4 places.
We're not prepared to do that.
Okay, and then I know you mentioned county board, but I certainly don't. I'm not included in that because because all I do is somebody brings it to me after the decisions have been made, and I'm supposed to either agree or disagree. Where is it is this on the finance committee, or is there going to be a different committee that might include other people? Are there people in the community, or is this strictly an in-house county board treasurer?
Those things are up in the air.
How do I get in on this and find out more about it?
You're
or be
sitting right
involved?
next to the man that can help you out.
Everyone is welcome to come to committee meetings.
Well, I've been to committee meetings, I understand that, but I'm an observer more than anything else, and I don't know exactly what has happened yet about it, so we will all be able to, anybody can come to the meetings and provide our input.
Committee meetings, yes.
And there's not been anything decided. We have I've been developing a list from the people that have called and contacted us, and different people are preparing proposals to be presented in the future to this
And the
committee.
different people, are those board members, are those people in the field who want the money?
There.
The people who want the money?
There's some county organizations that have got ideas. There are some out-county entities that are familiar with this and have put in requests, but I don't have anything other than just contact people.
Yeah, and is there a way that we as a board can contact the community at large to say, hey, this is available? I know it was mentioned that we would get money, but there's a big leap from that we get money to how does my group get in on that? And the people in the know,
That's all you have to be determined.
you got it, okay. So the finance committee,
We've got half the money.
and it's the finance committee that is the committee to go to?
Yeah, that's what we've dealt with so far.
Currently, because there is no advisory, there is no additional committee being created yet.
The money has to be committed by December 2024. It has to be expended by December 2026.
Okay. I guess my only, thank you very much for that information. I know a lot more than I did. But I just think it's, as a minority in the party, I feel fairly left out of things because there are only two of us, and well, there's more story to that. But I think that one of the issues is people in the know always they get in there. Just like when Rick says, I want somebody in Coles County to do this job, we know that we can hire people from other places, but what about the people who've been wanting to get in on the deal somewhere? They may not have had the opportunities. And right now, if we're talking about a lot of money, it seems to me that we ought to find a mechanism whereby we can elicit responses from people who might want that money or need that money, as opposed to the people who are just politically savvy enough to know how to go about it. So there's a mechanism for us to let more people know about that, I think.
George, real quick,
Well, I
can
think
anybody
George
apply for
is-
that money? Anybody can apply for that money, right? If it's COVID related? Okay,
But
that's
there
anybody.
is a very
Yeah, but
specific
people don't know that.
reason, there's a very specific set that will be actually able to adjust. It has to be
Right.
it has to be healthy. Carla listed off several things there today, and I can't remember.
There's 4 specific areas that the money can be used for.
Right.
And has that been in the paper very specifically? These are the 4,
Not that I'm aware of.
or in the
It's not-
chamber,
The
or
best place
trades?
that I have found to get the information is the National Association of Counties, the NACO.org website. It explains it's in detail, it's very specific and complicated, but that's the organization that has worked, that's the national organization that has worked with the Washington, D.C. to get these funds in place.
sometimes it just happens. And also, sometimes people are left out because they weren't in the right place at the right time. And since we have a relatively small county and community, it seems to me we ought to make an effort to make sure people know about it, that they're not left out.
Well, the purpose of this money, they said at the very beginning of this money was to be infused into the community to help with the recovery from the pandemic.
Right.
And
Which is
the
great.
problem with that so far is it's so complicated. The Bellwether has said their 40 counties, nobody spent any money.
Yeah.
Because it's so complicated and the rules aren't even finalized until, what, Friday? So there's a lot to be decided, and I think it's going to take everybody involvement to make good decisions and to figure out what's the best way to, because this is a once in a lifetime thing. When is the county going to come
Right.
into $9 million?
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Okay, any more discussion? All right,
Yes.
we
that's
have
very
a motion, we had a second. Roll call, please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Item 4, no action was taken on selecting an advisory board to the ARPA funds. There was no miscellaneous business. The meeting adjourned at 6:23 p.m. on motion by Cox and a second by East.
Thanks, Dan. The Health and Safety Committee. The Health and Safety Committee is called to order at 4:30 p.m., June 21st, 2021. We have a care center update. The monthly reports were distributed to the members and discussion followed. There are attachments. The EMA update. Mr. Hildenberg shared with the members the opening of the EOC several times in June to monitor possible severe weather. His office also co-hosted a multi-agency ground search and rescue exercise with roughly 40 in attendance from 6 counties. This was used as a part of a core capabilities for an IEMA accreditation. He is also working on an EMPG grant application. The public health update. Ms. Stinger updated the members on the COVID vaccine for the county. Ms. Spear gave an update on professional food vendors and licensing for the county. After much discussion, a motion to amend the Coles County Food Sanitation Ordinance and to forward to the county board was made by Mr. Metzger and a second by Mr. Cox. And I need a motion.
I would make that motion again next time.
All right, thank you, Stan Metzger. And I need a second.
Second.
Second by Bob Bennett. Discussion? Roll call, please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Doty,
Yes.
and Bell.
Yes. No old business, new business. The committee discussed appointments and reappointments to the Coles County Mental Health Board. Dr. Todd Garner has resigned from his position. Ted Friesland is being considered for the position. There was no miscellaneous business. The meeting adjourned at 5:39 p.m. with a motion by Mr. Cox and a second by Mr. Shook. Insurance Committee, Nancy Purdy.
No meeting.
Thank you. There was no Liquor Commission meeting. Mental Health Board, Stan Metzger.
No meeting to report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Planning and Development Commission, Stan Metzger.
Yes, sir. June 28, 2021, 4:03 p.m. The Planning and Development Committee was called to order. Following members present: Jeremy East, Mike Watts, John Doty, Darrell Cox, and Mr. Chairman presiding. Also attending were Chairman Brandon Bell, Mark Harris, Sheriff IT, Kelly Lockhart, RPDC, and Lisa McMichaels, Administrative Assistant. In the IT update, Mr. Harris shared with the committee the cyber requirements for cyber insurance. Those are attached. After much discussion, Mrs. McMichaels was instructed to add this item to the next is it planning and development agenda, or it says planning and finance?
I'm sorry, planning and development. Oh, wait a minute. No, say that again, I'm sorry, please.
The minutes say that you were instructed to add this item to the next planning and finance agendas. Are you putting on both
and finance, yes.
So we'll go on to both of those agendas.
That is correct.
GIS update. Mr. Lockhart shared with the members about possibly upgrading the server. Discussion followed. There was no old business. In new business, an annual agreement between the Coles County Council on Aging and Coles County was tabled. A motion to table this item was made by Doty. The second one was made by Cox and carried unanimously. There was no miscellaneous business. The meeting adjourned at 4:38 p.m. on a motion by Watts and a second by Mr. Doty.
Public Health Board, Jeremy Dowdy. No meeting. Road and Bridge Committee, John Doty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Road and Bridge Committee meeting was called to order at 3 p.m. on June the 28th with the following members present: Rick Shook, Jeremy East, and myself, Chairman presiding. Bob Bennett and Jeremy Dowdy were unable to attend. Also attending were Rick Johnson, County Engineer, and Lisa McMichael, Administrative Assistant. There was no old business. Under new business, under A resolution to award a contract for Cape Seal on County Highway 2, that's in the northeast part of the county, to Bennett's Construction Company from Tuscola. After much discussion, a motion was made by Mr. East to forward to the county board and was seconded by Mr. Shook, and at this time I so move.
So motion by John Doty. Second by Rick Shook. Discussion? Roll call, please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Under B, the members were also presented with a resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code for the use of motor fuel taxes allotted to Coles County for the construction costs of the Cape Seal project on County Highway 2. Mr. Shook made a motion to forward this item to the county board, and was seconded by Mr. East. At this time, I so move.
Thank you. John Doty. Motion. Seconded by Jeremy East. Discussion? Roll call, please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Under C, the members were presented with an ordinance to amend the speed limit on County Highway 27. That's the Oddfellow Road where we're replacing a bridge. Mr. East made a motion to forward this item to the county board and was seconded by Mr. Shook. I believe we're reducing the speed limit to 5 miles an hour. At this time, I so move.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Nancy Purdy. Discussion? Roll call, please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
There was no miscellaneous business. The county highway engineer's report was presented by Rick Johnson, and after review, the members approved it, and the meeting was adjourned at 3:15 p.m. by a motion by Mr. East and a seconded by Mr. Shook.
Thank you, John Doty. Senior Citizens Tax Levy Committee, Nancy
No,
Purdy.
this meeting hasn't been scheduled yet.
Thank you. Sheriff and Law Enforcement Committee, Denise Ford.
We didn't have a meeting.
Thank you. Supplies and Claims Committee, Rick Shook.
Yes, sir. The bills were signed and submitted for payment, so I so move for the board to approve.
All right, thank
Sir.
you. We have a motion by Rick Shook, second by Denise Ford. Discussion? Roll call, please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes. All right, we have no old business, no new business.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Shook, yes.
I've been saying this now for the last 4 or 5 months, but I still want people to know that Rick Shook is totally against changing the name over Eastern Illinois. They're wanting to change Douglas Hall's name and all that. That's part of Coles County's history. And the people from out of town come in here, if they don't like it, they don't like it. I say we keep it the way it is. It's not hurting anything. It's been there forever. So I just want people to know that I'm totally against it, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shook. All right, any miscellaneous business?
I have an item, just a reminder for 4-H July 25th to August 1st. So please go and support our 4-H.
Thank you, Nancy Burton. No reason for executive session. So we have announcement of appointments. We have 14 next month. 3 appointments to the Humboldt Community Fire District. 2 appointments to the Coles County Airport Authority. 6 appointments to the Coles County Mental Health 708 Board. 2 appointments to the Jury Commission. And 1 appointment to the North Fork Conservancy. And then remarks from the chair this evening. We do have a proclamation declaring Coles County Fair and 4-H Week. And that proclamation declaring Coles County Fair and 4-H Week, July 25th through August 1st of 2021. Whereas the Coles County Fair has been a continuous event since 1854. And whereas 4-H and the exhibition of livestock, art, and produce by hundreds of young people at the fair has been an integral part of summers in Coles County for generations. And whereas numerous local businesses, vendors, and merchants utilize the Coles County Fair to promote local goods, services, and products. And whereas tens of thousands of Coles County and area-wide residents attend the fair multiple times per year to enjoy the entertainment, information, and 4-H projects. Now therefore be it resolved that the Coles County Board does hereby proclaim the week of July 25th through August 1st, 2021 to be Coles County Fair and 4-H Week, and encourages all citizens to attend our long-running Coles County Fair and urges support of 4-H members, local merchants, and our community at large. With advice and consent, roll call please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes, I was the chair of that committee, that's why I...
it's okay.
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey, yes, Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy Purdy. Public comment. And I will remind everyone, 3 minutes. I do apologize right now. At 3 minutes, I will cut you off. You have 3 minutes only. And we will go ahead and start with Charles Stodden.
Okay. Would you help me?
I sure will.
Some good information on the condition of our public schools here. And that might be informative. 3 minutes here. I'd like to read this here. Over the last several years here, I haven't kept track of it, but it's been 3 or 4 that we've been coming here. The discussion was on property, and you really can't get around from not talking about property and on so many things. And I suppose maybe this would go along with this 3-minute rule here. Now, I got a question. Where did you come up with the 3-minute rule? Who figured this out? I got a question on that.
That was the amendment.
Pardon me?
It's an amendment that we do have for the resolution regulating the right of the public to speak at open meetings.
Okay.
If you'd like to have a copy of it, we can definitely get you one, sir.
Well, that'd be all right. But anyway, I came across this here, New York Times versus Sullivan. You might want to get this. You can look it up on the internet. Chief Justice William Brennan noted and said that public discussion is a political duty, and that this should be a fundamental principle of the American government. Such discussion, he added, must be uninhibited, robust, and wide open, and may well include vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on government and a public official. Justice Brennan also reasoned in matters of public debate on matters and of public interest that freedom of expression are to have the breathing space that they need to survive. Now, you don't have to go by this 3-minute rule. I'm requesting that you give us 7 minutes. Do you think you could do that?
I'm going with 3 minutes, sir. Thank
Well,
you.
why are you doing that?
Because that is our policy. You have about 20 seconds left.
Well, this would violate what you're talking about. Justice Brennan said altogether opposite.
Go ahead, sir.
Pardon me? Have you got anything to say?
No, sir.
You don't think you're in violation here of what Justice Brennan says?
No, sir. And I'm sorry, Mr. Stein, your 3 minutes is up. Thank you. Alex Walker.
First of all, is there any rules for board members to miss meetings on a regular basis? Do you guys got the rule on the third, on the 3-minute rule? Do we have it to where board members can just decide not to show up to county board meetings, and do they still get paid if they're not here?
I can look at the rule book and look through it real quick.
I would like to know that, because I think that there is something in there, as far as I know, that there's supposed to be an emergency and they're supposed to be notified, correct? I'd like to know that. The other thing is who decides what meetings that the committees are going to have? Who decides that? The people that's over it? Because I find it very interesting that 3 out of 4 meetings that Ms. Purdy was called upon, there was no meeting. Is there a reason why there was no meeting?
Some meetings are quarterly.
Okay.
Some meetings don't have enough business to have everybody just come and adjourn.
I just find that very interesting that everybody else was having their meetings except for a couple few.
Well,
And
several-
3 out of your 4, you had no meeting. I know Jesse Danley's not here, but I had a couple of questions that I'm going to ask real quick. Do you know if Mr. Danley's personal attorney is Mr. Jacob Smallhorn?
Don't know.
Of course not. And I'll save these questions, but I do know that I do find it very interesting that in 30 different cases, Mr. Smallhorn appeared opposite of Mr. Danley in juvenile cases, and Mr. Danley is being represented by Mr. Smallhorn. And how I know that is because this Mr. Smallhorn called me and tried to threaten me. And then he later called me 2 hours later and he knew that didn't work with me and tried to smooth talk me. I also would like to know that I did a bunch of FOIAs, and there was an internal memorandum that the state's attorney refused to give me a date to in the Brady Allen case. I believe that the reason he doesn't want me to have that date is because he lied to the Edgar County Watchdogs and he lied to the newspaper about turning that memorandum over to the state police. There's a lot of things that goes on in the state's attorney's office that I have questions about. Everybody knows that. I also find it interesting that I send a FOIA. I'm getting information from the state's attorney's office. Somebody else sends a FOIA of the same exact information, and guess what? Nothing. We have no record of it. Okay? So, for that reason, we are preparing a lawsuit against the state's attorney's office and a FOIA because I think that FOIA violations have occurred.
Mr. Walker, your 3 minutes is up. Thank you
You
very
got
much,
it.
sir. Robert Ray?
I just want to comment on your 3-minute rule. It's only for redundancy. It's not when it's down to the heart of the matter. We just spent 15 minutes listening to an ordeal over what you wanted to talk about, which is fine. So what's the matter with us being able to say ourselves on redundancy? When redundancy's here, I get it. When this is all about what's going on, buddy, that's wrong. That's enough of that. Now, a couple of things I want to ask about. I'm going to pass something out, but I want to know about the wind farm update. Who can tell me something about what's going on with wind farms in Coles County? Can somebody talk?
There is one proposed for the northern part of Coles County.
Okay.
They are in the process of acquiring land and landowners to work with.
Well, I'll ask, and just with honesty here, is there going to be any kind of debate or any kind of talk, or are we just going to slam dunk this in a meeting and all of a sudden we're going to have a wind farm, or are we going to go through the thing, finding out what it's going to be? Because I'm seeing my phone flooded with all kinds of stuff about the wind farms now, how great it is for Cole County. They're talking about all the taxes and how many teachers we can get and all the money that they're going to give to the county.
They're lying to you.
Oh, no, it's on their phone. You got to believe it, because this is where I'm at. And it's time we started talking. I want to know more. Could we get somebody to give us an update by next meeting?
It will have to come through the county board and be approved with a public hearing.
And will there be public
Or
meetings
disapproved.
as well?
Excuse me?
Will there be public meetings as well? Will you meet with the public after you meet with them?
There will be a public hearing before any decision is made to permit or not permit.
Okay, is there a date established for that?
No, they haven't
Okay.
submitted a request yet.
Thank you. Just keep me informed. I'd like to know. I'm going to move on to something else. I want to pass this out. Mr. Shook, would you pass these out, please? I'm trying to remember. I think these are the ones I want you to pass out. And if anybody doesn't have one, I'll pass these out as well.
You're right out of time.
I'm hurrying. What it is, what you're going to get, I'm not going to read it. I want you to take home and read it. It's about one of our board members. I did a little bit of discovery and wanted to share that with you because some of you don't even know. Mr. Cox, back when he was a deputy sheriff, committed some crime while he was on the as a deputy sheriff. And if you'll read on, you'll find out that it ended up in his backlog of what he did. It's interesting reading because what he did is he committed sexual assault. And then he ended up from a deputy sheriff becoming our sheriff. And I'm telling you right now, if you'd have known this when it happened, he'd never been a sheriff. And what it all boils down to is character. And this is what I'm telling you. We've got somebody that's now committed sexual assault, got away with it, became our sheriff, and then turned around and started selling guns. Oh, hush. I'm tired of that. That's not fair.
Mr. Perry, please sit down. Thank you.
Why don't you show up to your own meetings?
Jim Donosco.
Mr. Shook, I hate to have you pass things out. I'll just talk about this while I do it. If you notice, there's a flow chart that I took right off the county board website. At the top of that flow chart, you'll see it says voters. And underneath it, it says county board. You're supposed to be accountable to us. Okay? Accountable to us. We're supposed to be able to come here and redress our issues. We get a lousy 3 minutes, which is bogus. It's nothing more than an attempt by government to stifle free speech.
Amen.
And as far as I'm concerned, if we're going to be egalitarian about this, which means we all got to be equal, okay? Look that term up if you don't know what it is. I took rules of the board because I took a snapshot of it last meeting, went on the website before I came here and couldn't find the rules of the board on there. I guess the website must be under construction or something. The website's up, but I couldn't find it. Rule number 5, Mr. Michael, correct me if I'm wrong. Rule number 5, no member shall absent themselves from meetings of the board without giving notice to the chairman. And then there's another line I won't read for the sake of time. I've been coming here for 5 years, and I've seen people absent. Started with Mr. Degler. He was absent for 3 and 4 months at a time, was getting paid. I brought it up here as an issue, and all I got was, well, they keep electing him. There's no repercussions for him. I called him several times. I sent him text messages, and he had the gall to lie at a board meeting, said that he never got any of those messages, or I never tried to call him, or he tried to call me back. I said, show me your phone. Show me your inbox on your phone that you tried to get with me. And then he went to the newspaper. He never tried to get with me. He was getting paid. So if we're only going to get 3 minutes, I want to know why people are absent. I'd like to know where Mr. Cox is. I'd like to know why people get off to go to work. Mr. Bell, I remember a few months last year, or maybe it was the year before when you started working at UPS, you had 2 or 3 meetings and you weren't here. I'm sure you were getting paid for that. If you can't meet your obligations as a county board chairman, then you shouldn't be a county board chairman. You weren't elected this last round. You went out of the district. Now you're in my district. You politically wrangled with Mr. Coffey to come back in, and this board appointed you back. Slick move, nothing illegal, but it violates the spirit of elected Republican-type government, okay? It's not right. It may not be illegal, but it's not right. Another thing, Mr. Shook, I think you'll be very interested in this. You want to talk about Tyler Tech Well, that's a name that's blast from the past. April 25th, 4th, 2015, Tyler Technologies put in a bid to do the reassessment in Coles County. You can ask the people that were here, like Mr. Bell and Mr. Metzger, who were on the Office and Rules Committee. They discussed whether Tyler Tech's bid or Mr. Becker's bid should be forwarded to the county board the following week, okay, for approval, okay, for consideration. Tyler Tech came in at $517,782. Mr. Becker came in at $115,000. Okay?
Thank you.
So they were overpriced.
Mr. Donato, you are finished. Your 3 minutes is up.
What about attendance?
Thank you.
What about the rule of attendance?
Thank you.
Are we all under the same rules?
Thank you. Mr.
Are we under the rules or not? Why do we favor people? Why do we favor some people and not others? I should be able to finish.
You're finished.
I should be able to finish. No, I'm really not finished.
You saved $25,000 in paying.
No, I didn't. I didn't save anything. And if you want to talk about my personal taxes, I will be glad to talk. I didn't save anything.
Thank you.
You miss meetings, you get paid, and you violate rules, and then you want us to live by rules. That's not right. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I appreciate Mr. Shook, at least you giving your opinion. And Mrs. Mason, that was the most discussion that was ever done at this here in 5 years.
You are
5
done.
years. Oh,
You
I'm
are
done.
Thank
I'm
you
done.
very much. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you hit a nerve, huh, Brandon?
I guess the truth hurts, huh?
Yeah, it does.
The truth hurts.
Where were you last week?
You don't need to show up.
Where were you last week?
I had a family commitment last
Well,
week.
you're supposed to announce it at the committee.
They didn't even know where you were at. They didn't know where
You
you
didn't
were
show up
at.
at the committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Donato.
You didn't show
So you
up.
can violate your
Yeah, you
rules.
violate your rules.
Yeah.
We got to stick by it.
Can we please escort them out of the courtroom, please? Thank you.
You're a phony. It's what you are, a crook. He's a guy.
Rules don't apply to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Donato.
Thank you.
Mr. Beasley. I'm past my time. I thought you would. Kirk Allen, please.
Could you give me heads up at 30 seconds left?
I absolutely will. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Want to cover a couple things in regards to 911 or ETSB. I appreciate, Mr. Schick, your goal to try to keep things within the county, but I would encourage you to speak with your state's attorney because that's called bid steering. If you select someone just because they're in the county, that's a criminal act. So I wouldn't encourage you to do that. If it's a responsible bidder, that's who should get the bid. They may be from another part of the state, but please don't do that. In regards to 911, I mentioned this briefly last time, but I want you to take this back to the board. And Brandon, I'm asking you as the county chairman to please be the leader in the state to fix this problem. It is fixable. This is an opinion from the Attorney General dealing with the expenditure of 911 money. ETSB board may not expend ETS money to employ telecommunicators to answer non-emergency calls. You can't spend any ETS money for non-emergency stuff, okay? ETSB is an emergency telephone system. There's a criminal law that says you can't call 911 if it's not an emergency.
I think they,
This is my time. Let me finish. So what I'm asking is that the ETSB focus on what the law says. The state's in charge of 911 now. If you don't have the money and you've been counting on the money coming in from non-emergency, which there's no statute that gives you the power to bill for that, say, hey, state, you're supposed to pay us the money. Send the bill to them. They're in charge of 911. That's the agency that's supposed to be distributing the money now. It's no longer under county control. It's the 911 system designed by the state. There's 10 expenditures you can have in 911. Have you ever read those? If you haven't, I'll leave this with you. I would encourage you to read those 10 things that are allowed to be spent and take a hard look at your credit card statements. I haven't done any stories on it. I'd rather y'all fix it because I got plenty on my plate. But the bid steering, definitely don't do that. But ETS money, that's got to be used for emergencies, nothing else. And to answer your question, ma'am, in regard to the ETS system, what they're looking at doing is upgrading to what's called the Next Gen 911. From an emergency response standpoint, the top of the line programs out there, when a call comes in, some fire departments see it on a screen with a little flame.
30 seconds.
They'll see a flame says that's where it's at. That's the call. That's the state-of-the-art stuff that's out there. the stuff we have now, guys sitting there looking at a laptop in a fire truck or an ambulance, it doesn't pop up and tell us where we're going. Now, we've got some apps that will do it, but the next gen system, which the state should be spending from the state collection of money, and they jack Chicago's 911 fees up to make that all doable, but that process is a lifesaver to EMS and ambulance because the state-of-the-art stuff tells us exactly where that house is, where dead ends are, the whole 9 yards. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Appreciate it. Time's up. Thank you. All right.
Can I help with public comment? Can I speak real quick?
Yes, sir.
Your wind farm ordinance, is there already an ordinance and what is the current setback?
Current setback, to my knowledge, it's around, it's a little about a quarter mile, I believe. However, the side, it's affected, the setback is affected by the size of the windmills, and the windmills that, as I understand it, are proposed are going to be high enough that we're looking at more like 1,400 and more feet setbacks.
It's not enough.
Would you please consider redoing your wind farm ordinance and adopting a 3,250-foot setback of the property line? Because of health issues with people that live around wind turbines and industrial wind farms.
What's it got to do with health? I mean, what's it make them sick or what?
Well, yeah, it makes some people sick. I mean, some people get sick sitting around, radio towers or high-powered electrical lines. Other people get sick with wind farms. It's the low-frequency noise and flicker and loud noise at night. You can't sleep. And I don't live around them, so it won't affect me. And I'm asking you to consider at least having a public hearing to reconsider the setbacks on your wind farm ordinance before it's too late. Because once you approve the wind farm, you're stuck with it for 30, 40, 50 years.
Thanks, sir.
I didn't get here in time to sign up, but may I speak?
Absolutely, ma'am. And your name?
Rebecca Darling?
Rebecca Darling.
Yes, this will be different. I'm from Mattoon. Well, one of the other people here today was speaking about the American way of government, and that's where I'm coming from. We, the people, are really supposed to be who rules. And we need bodies like this, don't misunderstand me, but sometimes when the federal government, the state government trample on our rights, I talked about this before, I wonder if we can turn to the county. And nowadays, the federal government and the state government have been encroaching more and more on our rights and freedoms with various excuses. And so I just want to address two things. One, I mentioned before, the right to bear arms. And I know we don't want to think it would come to that, but it might. And the Constitution writers thought it might, especially between us and the federal government. And I just, for the sake of time, I won't read this, but I don't know if you're aware of it or not. Many county states over the United States have come up with ordinances, they passed ordinances limiting the power of the federal government to come into our counties, to come to our houses, to take our guns. And Effingham has just passed an ordinance, which I won't read it, but it's very thorough to the point that they would even declare that they have the power and authority and the intent to arrest agents from the federal government, the state, international, who come to try to take the guns of people who want to defend themselves from the government, and that is what the constitutional founders knew might happen. That is exactly why they said we should be able to have arms. So I would really encourage anyone to call the Effingham County because they're our neighbor, so close, and they passed it, and they're serious about it, and I would really urge that we would do this. Okay, the other thing is...
About 40 seconds, ma'am.
Okay, Biden is wanting to send people to our houses to harass us to get vaccinations that are killing people, that are making people sick right and left. And can the county stand against that for us also?
Thank you, Mrs. Bowden. Mr. Stodden?
I'd just like to say, would there be any discussion on what this lady said here right now?
The only thing that comes to my mind is what you said when we passed a Second Amendment issue a few years ago. You said the Second Amendment is settled law, and why would we discuss it again? Or something to that effect. You said-
Well, because there is encroachments happening right now. If they're already talking about forcing people that hasn't taken the vaccination, they're already talking about coming to your door. So it ain't like it went away, it's actually increasing. And if they can come to your door for the vaccine, they come to your door for other things, eventually your property. And you have property rights in yourself. They have no right to tell you to take that shot. That's why it's important. So, yes, it has been well settled, and that's why it's a shame we have to talk about it. I agree.
Okay.
All right.
I really don't want to talk about this, but I have to at least say, I believe that there's a false premise to begin with. Biden does not want people coming to your house to force you to get the vaccination. What I heard today is that they're thinking about putting mobile units even at the CTA, at public transportation, because a lot of poor people don't have time to go to the places where there are vaccinations. The notion of coming to your home is to encourage people. He has stated very clearly this is not forcing anyone. Just like Obama never took anybody's guns, Biden's not out to take the guns, and and that's it. I believe the basic premise is incorrect. I would also say the basic premise about the Constitution may be incorrect. The people writing the Constitution did not know we had, I know nothing about guns, AK blah blahs and other assault weapons, and these things are weapons of mass destruction. We had a militia. We had your basic muskets and other guns. I do not think that our founding fathers ever anticipated that there would be this kind of escalation in weapons. And I recognize I am a lone voice, or one of my few here.
What about crime?
We have more crime in the United States, more gun crime, than probably 2/3 of the world.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt, and I apologize, but this
okay.
discussion could go on all night, I'm
Absolutely.
afraid. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Stan Metzger, and I'm looking for a second. Jeremy East. Roll call, please.
East,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes?
Metzger,
Yes.
Purdy,
Yes.
Shook,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Doty,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes. I'm sorry,
Come on, man. The fire was just getting started. Why do you want to put it out?